I sing the body electric. I celebrate the me yet to come, creating my own tomorrow as I become one with the stars. Now, that song came from Fame, a beautiful song. And I've sung the song actually on my podcast channel. You know, there's so many pieces of puzzles that are yet to be brought together. You know, Signifying Monkey is a song that Mrs. Billups used to sing in the kindergarten class and sometimes daycare, I remember. She sang this song and it was about all the animals in the jungle. And with all these animals in the jungle, she allowed the students to be able to place themselves in the story as one of those animals. But the monkey was a significant animal in the jungle because the monkey was the one that caused all of the confusion. The monkey would stir up all the trouble and then go hide up in the tree so that the monkey could not be captured. You know, a lot of people have come together and have found themselves in the jungle of life because they have found themselves making poor decisions, being followers, following people who did not deserve that position. You know, I'm one to talk because I feel like even any leader is going to be tested, and this goes beyond words because it happens every time. It happens whether they're president, whether they are captain of the squad, any leadership position. You're going to be tested because there's so many different levels to the position, so many different people to deal with, so many different associations and associates to deal with. So let's get into it. A little boy grows up in the neighborhood and all the children around him think they know him. They like being around him because he tells a good story and he's always bragging. Some things they like, some things they don't. But they like to hear him brag because they like to see if he's going to fall into the mud based upon the stories that he's telling. Half the kids don't believe his stories anyway, but they just look at him and they wonder if he can read their minds with the horrible things that they're saying under their breath about him because he's doing all this talking and they feel like he never shuts up. So a little girl moves into the neighborhood and a little boy likes the little girl. But his friend Steve gets to the girl first. So he starts making up stories about the little girl. The stories get to be so bad that the little girl cries and runs home and tells her parents. The father gets involved and the father goes to his parents. And after having a conversation with his parents, he realizes that not only is the boy off, but the parents are as well. So he moves away from these parents and he decides he's going to take his daughter and put her in private school. But the little girl still has to come home. And whenever she comes home, the little boy, because of his jealousy, because the girl is so pretty, because he cannot touch this girl, he makes up all these stories. And the girl is made to feel uncomfortable about herself. Her parents get her involved in different lessons to get her mind off of the whole situation. And it helps a lot, but she never could understand why this boy treated her so badly when she did absolutely nothing but try to be his friend. The little boy goes to school and the teachers called the parents in because after this little girl leaves the school, they start seeing a pattern in his behavior. And they say that this boy has a lot of problems, and if the parents do not get this boy some help, it's going to be a bigger problem. The parents do not take it seriously. This little boy becomes a man. And any woman that rejects him, he turns into a monster. Some women he's been accused of abusing them. Some of these women he's dated and had children with. And he only decides that he wants to be around these women when they get a check. And sometimes he's even tried to go to court and prove that these women are unfit mothers just to prove a point and just to get money from them. And he does a good job of this manipulative behavior. The problem is that society and its rules have supported him for so long, and he's gotten away with this for so long, that he believes he's invincible. Again, he has mental issues. And somehow, with all the psychoanalysts and everyone in this world, he's yet to cross the path of a real doctor who can actually help him. First of all, he doesn't believe he needs help because he has a crowd of people who surround him and who support him. He has a crowd of guys, and these guys get together and they really talk badly about women. They don't have respect for women because he didn't have the respect for his own mother. It started with his childhood, with the way in which he interacted with his parents was not normal, was not the behavior that the parents and the child should have had. But his mother tried to spoil him and cover him when he did the wrong things at times. Sometimes she'd get on him, but in most cases he got away with murder. He would go into, his mother started off telling him to go into her purse and get things. Again, I've said this before, be very careful how you let children go into your purse. With boys especially, because it's almost as though you're showing them that, they should count on women. That if he can go into a woman's purse, and I know I'm going to get a lot of slack on this one, but I'm telling you, I know this one very, very strongly. Letting a boy go into your purse almost encourages him to carry his girlfriend's purse around, encourages him to go into his girlfriend's purse, encourages him in some cases to steal, because when he goes into your purse and you tell him to find one thing, when he sees other things, okay, the boy, first of all, when he first gets permission to go into his mother's purse, he sees cigarettes, so he begins stealing cigarettes and smoking. Next time he starts taking money. And the mother says, "Who stole my money? I know I have money in here." And he looks over at his brother. And the mother takes that look as the brother was the one, but the brother doesn't steal. The brother never stole. He was the thief. You see all these different things, these different tricks, these different lies that happened caused this boy to become a man who did not respect women and also stole money from these women's purses. Stole other things, stole all sorts of things from women that he so-called dated. So he had a crew of males, and he had relationships with these males. The problem is that he, because of his abnormal relationship that he had growing up with people in his family, it made it kind of a safe haven for him to explore. And as he explored and violated some people as well, he somehow became a man who found a group of guys who had similar issues where they liked men. But none of them wanted society to know that they liked each other. But they came up with this group where they would fight against any woman who was independent. They didn't like women with independence because they felt that these women thought they were better than them, and this is not the case. These women were just trying to be strong because they, growing up in their own homes, growing up in this society, they realized that they had to be strong. These men only wanted women who would be promiscuous or women who would give in to them and allow them to be the leader in the relationship. And I mean, this works well in a lot of different societies and a lot of different communities. It's good to have certain men as leaders, but what if the man cannot handle this leadership? If he cannot help out in the household and he's taking advantage and mistreating the children, then how is that a safe environment for those children? How is that a balanced environment? These men did this. And then what they do is they would have different women and father all sorts of children. And the women did not know that these men were in this type of society of things. These men did this behind closed doors and decided to lead normal relationships outside of this with women. So whenever the infections came around, who were you to blame? Because someone is definitely sneaking out the back door and involving themselves in other types of relationships, and these women had no idea. One man was a leader in so many different ways in this group. He had people coming to him and getting advice, and they were paying him. And this man was, I don't know how can I place this in words. This man would sell his body for money when he needed it. And he would deal with certain women and take their energy and switch it up in such a way that people would think they had certain powers that they did not have. They were siphoning this energy from other people to make them feel and look like they were a promising person in society. But how long can you carry a story that is untrue? He ends up marrying or getting involved with a woman, and both of them carry themselves in society in such a way. And the woman had a lot of jealousy towards another woman, and they would stalk that woman. They would stalk her and the woman would find herself in situations where they would go to her job. And I mean, I've told the story on different levels, but it seems as though the story has to come back to the surface again. You see, people are throwing rocks and hiding their hands. This man has been found out in so many different ways, but he's still in hiding. You see, he met the woman of his match. He was taking advantage of so many different women over and over and over again that God had to teach him the lesson now. By teaching him this lesson, he's now suffering and alone. But it did not begin this way, you see. For years and years, he terminated different relationships and caused many women a lot of harm and a lot of pain. And he was very abusive as well. In fact, these guys in his group were very abusive. But somehow they were able to get away with this for so long. And him being considered the leader. You see, if you have a bad leader, then what happens to everyone who follows that leader? They're not going to be successful. And they may look successful, but their success will never be until they have separated and changed their own lives. You know, in society, we are all individuals growing in one way or another. But if we don't take the different lessons, if we don't learn from these different lessons, we will find ourselves just as corrupt as the individuals that we're following. And this guy, following this group of people, or should I say these people following this guy, have found themselves in a bad situation. And in this bad situation, these people are now going to find themselves having to go to court and being held accountable for their part. Now they could say, nah man, I ain't going down with you because first of all, you said all those horrible things and I was just supporting you, you know. But if you had a part in making this woman lose her job, if you played part in making this woman lose her livelihood and becoming homeless. See, the thing is at the end of the whole story, towards the end I'll say, the woman was not like the average homeless person that you would see on the street. Because see, When you come from New York, when you're creative, you find different ways in which to get around certain things. So while these people and by the way, the reason why these people were doing all this to this woman is because they wanted the woman to come back to an environment that was unhealthy. You see, if you look at the woman's life, you say, where did all this begin? The woman was made to be solo, alone a lot. She had cousins who she had to change their pampers and was not allowed to play with these cousins. You see, you could do the work and you could take care of the whole entire family and then be ostracized and separated where you cannot even play with your cousins because that was a form of punishment, isolation. And so long as you can keep that person feeling low about themselves, you can steal their energy. And while you're siphoning the child's energy, making the child feel humiliated and low, you think you're winning and you gain so much. But if you gain so much, can you keep it in your hand? Can you keep it? You can't keep something that you gained in such an unworthy manner. Excuse me. There's going to be a time where all of this is going to come out, where you're going to look at the child's DNA and realize that child is not related to the person claiming that child. The child is now a woman, and people are still trying to stealing money from accounts that were not supposed to be touched. The child at 6 years old claiming an account in a state. The money was enlarged at 6, enlarged again as the child grew up older. The child not knowing who her true identity is, the child not knowing that her name and her birth certificate are wrong. All of these people trying to come against the child, trying to unalive the child so that they can gain. Instead, what they do is they lie and say the child is unalive and claim more money on the child's name. As the child becomes an adult and all the medicine that you gave the child, now the child is an adult and all that medicine has worn off. And you try to keep trying to do the same thing even when the child became an adult. Go into the child's house. She can't go to the bathroom without you trying to put stuff in the pots. You know, everyone thinks that they're so slick. But at the end of the story, there is a happy ending to where the child is not enslaved by a family who never accepted the child. You know, it is really unfortunate when a person can be treated so much better around people who they don't know than the people who she called family. So many times you ask the person, are you my parent? And the person says yes, with a smirk on their face. And then you unalive a woman who knew all the truth, who tried to tell the truth. You unalive her so that she is unable to be free from the stories that were told. She tried to tell the truth. And you unalive her and have someone else take the blame for that matter. In this world, there are so many injustices that have happened. So many children grow up in families that do not respect them. They want the children to be quiet and not speak up. The child says that there's an ancestor in the room, the spirit of that ancestor, and there's a message that needed to be told. You shut the child up, and the family suffers because that child was trying to tell the truth of where money was hidden in that home. Someone else comes to visit who knew about it, steals the money, and goes free. All of this because you did not want the child to speak up. and a child shall lead them, is what the Bible says, right? There's so many things that are going on in this world. And with all these things that are going on in this world, behind closed doors, children are being mistreated. Children are made to suffer. This is a new world that we're coming into because a lot of changes are about to occur. And in this new world, a lot of these people, justice is going to have to balance things out, because these people have been operating in such an evil way for so long. I still have a channel that I'm trying to upload a video. It's going to be 3 weeks now. The same video on YouTube is still sitting there circling. And I'm sure you guys have viewed that video by now. You know, the injustices that have been happening are going to have to be cleared up. And it's D-Day. People are going to have to come to the clarity and know that signifying monkey and what is it? And the body electric are going to be clarified. Signifying monkey because all of us, as Miss Phillips, as myself, even in the classroom, have sung that song and told that story for so many years, just so everyone can see themselves in the story and be able to independently solve their own problem and be able to live in a more clear way. Body electric, we are all connected, and we see ourselves as separate. Because we're all connected, that's the reason why people are able to siphon other people's energy. It's just that that's not what it was meant to do. It was not meant for you to take a gift and mistreat the individual as well, or individuals, excuse me, and steal something that did not belong to you. So all the individuals, family first, are going to have to suffer the consequences of the actions in which you operated in. Now, I would love it to always be good, happy story when you come to this platform, but the truth shall set us free, right? It is most important that we view life and be able to try to make the best choices possible. Sometimes we have to do certain things because we have to survive, and we have to fix the problems as they come up, as we can fix them. But there's a lot of suffering when people come together and hurt other people. You see, that same little boy who was hurting that little girl and became an adult was not there for his sons, and his sons, because of their pain, are also striking out in so many ways, because if the father is not there to fulfill and support these boys, or if the father isn't there to support them financially, they find themselves making the poor choices as well. Just like you had children, their families and the children were paid to lie in a courtroom under oath. Those families suffer a great deal. There's a lot of suffering going on when people do not make the right choices and they hurt other people. Let us pray that things get better sooner than later. That's been my word. Thank you for joining me.